Hello, today I would like to talk to you about this paper, Striatal and Cortical Components of Inattentional Responses. The authors are myself, Andrea Caso, and Professor Richard Cooper from Birkbeck, University of London. In this work, we try to understand how inattention in ADHD comes about because of suboptimal operations in the cortical circuits and in the striatal circuits, that is to say, the basal ganglia. We have an experimental and a computational model, as you can see. And in the experimental part, 50 participants performed two versions of the Wisconsin card sorting test, and we'll focus only on the untimed version, which is more similar to the one seen in clinical settings. In this task, participants sort a sequence of stimulus cards according to one criterion, sort by color, sort by number, or sort by shape. And they are provided with feedback. And after 10 consecutive responses, the sorting rule changes. Participants also fill in the Corners Adult ADHD questionnaire cards that measures inattention and impulsivity in daily life. For example, inattention is measured with questions such as I lose things necessary for tasks and activities, and impulsivity with questions such as I interrupt when talking. When we fit individual response time to this X-Gaussian distribution, we see that the cars inattention and impulsivity scores correlate well only with the tau parameters in the distribution, which is basically represents the thickness of the tail of the skewed Gaussian. And this is interesting because it shows that impulsivity and inattention associate with the more frequent longer responses that do not affect the mean response time or the standard deviation for that matter. So now we turn to the computational part of the paper. We took a computational model of the Wisconsin card sorting test that we had recently developed, and we see how the model behaves when two main parameters are altered. So the model consists of cognitive schemas representing the sorting rules we saw earlier, and the four motor schemas representing the action of putting the target card below one of the four piles in order to sort it according to the chosen rule. And a model of the basal ganglia arbitrates between different responses. We have therefore two different processes, cortical and striatal, which of course are localized in the neocortex and the striatum respectively. They are controlled by two parameters. The first parameter is epsilon striatum, and it's the learning parameter for the striatum, and biologically represents the dopamine and striatal circuits. And the second parameter is epsilon PFC, and it's the learning parameter for the cognitive schemas. And you can see the mathematical details of the operation in the poster. We observe that altering these two parameters changes the tail of the simulated response time, so the tau parameter that we saw earlier, but not the mean or the standard deviation. So this is remarkably similar to what we see in our participants. So epsilon PFC and epsilon striatum, as you can see on the third column, are negatively and positively correlated with the tail parameter, respectively. So in summary, our results suggest that the ADHD traits on the WCST are not characterized by more error rates, just by an increased tendency to the occasional slow responses. And this correlates with impulsivity and inattention scores. With regard to inattention, the idea is that from an evidence accumulation perspective, is that the participants simply become distracted, and they may have to accumulate evidence multiple times on single trial. Within the model, this is associated with decreased cortical learning and potentially subcortical excitability. It's important to remember, though, that impulsivity is also correlated to the response time tail, and this correlation, as you can see, is slightly higher and more robust. So it is also possible that individuals with a high impulsivity start accumulating evidence very early, and then in response to additional monitoring mechanisms that are not currently implemented in this model, suppress the response, and they have to restart accumulating evidence again. Of course, the two hypotheses regarding inattention and impulsivity are not mutually exclusive, and thoughtful experiment and computational models can help differentiate this phenomena and associate them with specific brain computations. I hope you enjoyed the poster, and please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.